The American independence movement was a pivotal period in history. It began in the 18th century and led to the creation of the United States. Colonists wanted freedom from British rule. They were driven by a desire for self-governance and democratic principles. The movement was marked by a series of significant events and milestones. The struggle for independence was complex. It involved political, social, and economic factors. The colonists faced many challenges. They had to unite against a powerful empire. The movement brought together people from different backgrounds. They shared a common goal of liberty and justice. The American Revolution was not just a war, it was a revolution of ideas. It introduced concepts of democracy and individual rights. These ideas have had a lasting impact on the world. The movement inspired other revolutions and continues to influence modern society. The Proclamation of 1763 was an important event. It was issued by King George III of Britain. The proclamation aimed to stabilize relations with Native Americans. It forbade colonists from settling west of the Appalachian Mountains. This angered many colonists who wanted to expand westward. The proclamation was seen as an infringement on the colonists' rights. They felt it restricted their freedom and growth. The British government wanted to avoid conflicts with Native Americans. However, the colonists saw it as another example of British control. This increased tensions between Britain and the colonies. The Proclamation of 1763 was one of the first signs of discontent. It highlighted the growing divide between Britain and the colonies. The colonists began to question British authority. This event set the stage for further conflicts and protests. The desire for independence started to take root. The Stamp Act of 1765 was another significant event. It imposed a direct tax on the colonies. The tax required colonists to buy a stamp for every piece of paper they used. This included newspapers, legal documents, and playing cards. The act was intended to raise revenue for Britain. The colonists were outraged by the Stamp Act. They believed it was unfair and unconstitutional. They argued that they should not be taxed without representation in Parliament. This principle was summed up in the slogan, "No taxation without representation." Protests and riots broke out across the colonies. The Stamp Act united the colonists in opposition to British rule. It led to the formation of groups like the Sons of Liberty. These groups organised boycotts of British goods. The Act was eventually repealed in 1766. However, the damage was done, and the colonists' desire for independence grew stronger. The Boston Massacre was a tragic event. It occurred on March 5, 1770. British soldiers were stationed in Boston to maintain order. Tensions were high between the soldiers and the colonists. A confrontation erupted between them. The soldiers fired into a crowd, killing 5 people. The Boston Massacre shocked the colonies. It was used as a symbol of British tyranny. The event was widely publicized and fueled anti-British sentiment. Leaders like Samuel Adams used it to rally support for the revolutionary cause. The massacre highlighted the growing violence and unrest. The Boston Massacre was a turning point. It showed that the conflict was becoming more violent. The colonists became more determined to resist British rule. The event increased unity among the colonies. It was a step towards the eventual declaration of independence. Section 5. The Boston Tea Party of 1773. The Boston Tea Party was a significant act of defiance. It occurred on December 16, 1773. The British government had imposed the Tea Act. This act gave the British East India Company a monopoly on tea sales. Colonists saw it as another example of unfair taxation. In response, a group of colonists disguised as Native Americans boarded British ships. They dumped 342 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. This act of protest was dramatic and bold. It was a direct challenge to British authority. The British government responded with harsh measures. The Boston Tea Party united the colonies against British rule. It showed the lengths to which colonists were willing to go for their rights. The event led to the Intolerable Acts, which further restricted colonial freedoms. The stage was set for the First Continental Congress and the push for independence. Section 6. the First Continental Congress of 1774. The First Continental Congress met in September 1774. Representatives from 12 of the 13 colonies gathered in Philadelphia. They discussed how to respond to British policies. The Congress was a crucial step towards unity. It showed that the colonies could work together. The delegates decided to boycott British goods. They also sent a petition to King George III. The petition outlined their grievances and demanded respect for their rights. The Congress agreed to meet again if their demands were not met. This was the beginning of organized resistance. The First Continental Congress was an important milestone. It demonstrated the colonies' commitment to collective action. The Congress paved the way for future cooperation. It was a significant step towards independence. The stage was set for the Declaration of Independence. Section 7. The Declaration of Independence in 1776. The Declaration of Independence was a historic document. It was adopted on July 4, 1776. The Continental Congress declared that the colonies were free from British rule.
The Declaration was written by me, Thomas Jefferson. It outlined the principles of liberty and equality.
The Declaration of Independence was a bold statement. It asserted that all men are created equal. It stated that people have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
These ideas were revolutionary. They challenged the traditional notions of monarchy and aristocracy.
The Declaration of Independence inspired many. It became a symbol of freedom and democracy. The document galvanized support for the revolutionary cause. It marked the official break from Britain. The colonies were now on a path to becoming an independent nation. Section 8. Key battles and outcomes of the American Revolutionary War. The American Revolutionary War began in 1775. It lasted until 1783. The war was fought between the British and the American colonists. Key battles included the Battle of Bunker Hill, the Battle of Saratoga, and the Battle of Yorktown. Each battle had a significant impact on the war's outcome. The Battle of Bunker Hill was an early conflict. It demonstrated the colonists' determination. The Battle of Saratoga was a turning point. It convinced France to support the American cause. The Battle of Yorktown was the final major conflict. It led to the British surrender. The American Revolutionary War was a hard-fought struggle. The colonists faced many challenges. They were outnumbered and outgunned. However, they were determined to win their freedom. The war ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783. The United States was officially recognized as an independent nation. Section 9. The Treaty of Paris in 1783. The Treaty of Paris was signed on September 3, 1783. It officially ended the American Revolutionary War. The treaty was negotiated by American and British representatives.
Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and John Jay played key roles.
The treaty recognized American independence. The Treaty of Paris established boundaries for the new nation.
The United States gained territory east of the Mississippi River. The British agreed to withdraw their troops. The treaty also addressed issues like fishing rights and debts.
It was a significant achievement for the young nation.
The Treaty of Paris marked the end of British rule in America. It was a momentous occasion. The United States was now a sovereign nation. The treaty laid the foundation for future growth and development. It was a triumph for the principles of liberty and self-governance. Section 10. The legacy of the Founding Fathers and principles of democracy. The Founding Fathers played a crucial role in the American Revolution. They were visionary leaders.
Figures like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, and Alexander Hamilton made significant contributions.
They shaped the nation's founding principles.
The American Revolution introduced important ideas. Democracy, republicanism, individual rights, and federalism were key concepts.
These principles continue to influence the United States. They are the foundation of American political and social life.
The Founding Fathers' legacy is enduring.
The American independence movement inspired global movements. It showed that people could fight for their rights and win.
The principles of the revolution have had a lasting impact. They continue to shape politics, society, and culture in America. The movement was a defining moment in history,